The arena was buzzing with energy, lights flashing and music thumping, as fans eagerly awaited the evening's showcase. But no one expected a surprise guest. Jason Statham, the action star known for his precise combat moves and steely composure, had just walked in. The crowd erupted, cheering wildly, snapping photos and videos. He wasn't there for a fight, just a guest appearance, but tonight, that would change. Among the spectators, a young, cocky MMA fighter noticed him immediately. Confidence practically radiated off him as he leaned against the ropes, smirking. He had dominated the local fight scene for years and was used to the spotlight. Seeing Jason, however, sparked a challenge in him. "You think you can just walk in here and impress anyone?" the fighter sneered, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. The crowd chuckled nervously, sensing the tension in the air. Jason glanced at him, his expression calm, almost amused. He said nothing, letting the fighter squirm under the attention. The fighter, misinterpreting Jason's silence for weakness, took a step forward, puffing out his chest. "Hey, old man, I've seen you in movies," he mocked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Not sure you've still got it in the real world." Gasps and murmurs ran through the crowd. Phones were pulled out, capturing every second. Some fans laughed nervously, others exchanged wide-eyed glances. Everyone could feel the tension mounting. Something was about to happen. Jason's calm demeanor only seemed to frustrate the fighter further. The cocky MMA star began pacing, gesturing aggressively, trying to provoke him. He was clearly used to people responding, not ignoring his taunts. But Jason remained still, observing, weighing his next move. There was a subtle energy shift in the arena, a feeling that this encounter would escalate far beyond mere words. Audience hook: what happens next will shock everyone watching live, and you won't believe how Jason Statham responds to the fighter's arrogance. The stage was set. The cocky fighter thought he was in control. The crowd leaned forward, phones recording, hearts racing. Little did anyone know, Jason had a plan, and the evening was about to turn completely upside down. The cocky MMA fighter, sensing the crowd's attention, decided to push harder. He strutted closer to Jason Statham, his fists relaxed but his posture aggressive, almost daring Statham to react. "You know, in the movies, you look fast," he sneered, his voice carrying through the arena. "But let's see how you handle real strength, real skill, in the flesh." A ripple of gasps moved through the audience. Phones whipped out in every direction, capturing the moment. Some fans whispered nervously to their friends, "Is he serious?" Others cheered, excited by the rising tension. The fighter thrived on this chaos, the thrill of being the center of attention. Jason, however, did not flinch. He remained calm, arms crossed lightly, his piercing gaze locked on the fighter. There was no rage, no fear, just a controlled, almost predatory focus that seemed to unsettle the cocky MMA star slightly. The fighter, used to people reacting to his taunts, now noticed the silence. The arena seemed to hold its breath. The fighter took a step closer, gesturing aggressively. "Come on! Show us what you've got. Or are you just another action star who talks a big game?" The crowd reacted immediately. Some laughed, some murmured warnings. But a noticeable energy shift occurred. People started recording, capturing every second, whispering to each other about how unusual it was to see someone like Jason being confronted in public. Jason finally spoke, his voice calm, low, but carrying through the arena with unexpected authority. "Skill isn't about words. It's about control." The fighter blinked, momentarily thrown off. He wasn't used to being addressed like that. Normally, his bravado crushed the hesitation of others. But here was a man who had walked into the arena without lifting a finger, and yet the confidence radiating from him made the MMA fighter uneasy. Trying to regain dominance, the fighter began circling, flexing, demonstrating quick jabs and kicks in the air, taunting Jason. "This is how you fight," he shouted, smirking. "See, even in movies, you don't move like this." The crowd's whispers grew louder. Some started cheering for Jason, sensing he was unfazed by the fighter's theatrics. Others remained on the edge of their seats, anticipating the moment when Jason would finally respond. The tension was electric. Engagement prompt: what would you do if someone humiliated you in front of thousands of people? Comment your answer, stay calm or react immediately. Jason, still composed, stepped slightly forward. He didn't match the fighter's aggression. Instead, he focused on reading the opponent, observing every movement, every twitch. His calmness was disarming, forcing the MMA star to expend energy on empty bravado. "You're impressive," Jason finally said, his tone almost conversational. "But power without control, it's dangerous." The fighter scoffed, trying to laugh it off, but unease crept in. He had been confident, cocky, untouchable, but now, the man in front of him exuded a quiet intensity that no taunt could shake. Phones captured Jason's gaze, the fighter's nervous glance, and the arena erupted in murmurs. Social media notifications would later explode as viewers shared clips of this tense standoff. The audience, hungry for action, was now completely invested, everyone waiting for the moment Jason would finally show why he was feared in both films and combat. The fighter, frustrated by Jason's calm demeanor, raised his voice one last time. "Talk is cheap, old man. Let's see if you've still got it." Jason didn't move. He didn't need to. The crowd sensed that something was about to happen, something that would flip the entire energy of the arena in seconds. The fighter had made a crucial mistake. He assumed Statham's silence was weakness. Audience hook: the moment Jason finally strikes, the arena will explode. And the cocky fighter won't know what hit him. The stage was set. The fighter's arrogance and Jason's calm focus were on a collision course. Every phone was recording, every spectator leaning forward, and every heartbeat in the arena synchronized with the suspense. The showdown wasn't physical yet, but it was only a matter of time. The cocky MMA fighter had clearly underestimated Jason Statham. With the crowd's attention fixed on him, he began pacing around the small stage in the arena, fists relaxed but muscles taut, every movement exaggerated. His smirk radiated confidence, the kind that only comes from years of dominating opponents who rarely challenge him. "You talk too much," the fighter barked, pointing at Jason. "Movies don't make a man. Let's see if your reflexes match your reputation." The audience gasped. Some laughed nervously, others leaned forward, phones ready to record every moment. The energy in the arena was palpable, every spectator aware that a confrontation was imminent. Jason, still calm, didn't respond immediately. He observed the fighter closely, noting the way he shifted his weight, how his eyes darted for openings, how he relied on intimidation as much as skill. The fighter, mistaking Jason's silence for weakness, decided to escalate. He lunged forward, pretending to throw a light jab in Jason's direction, more for show than impact. "Come on, old man," he taunted. "Show us what you've got. Or are you just going to stand there like a statue?" Jason didn't flinch. His eyes narrowed slightly, scanning the fighter's movements with precision. There was no panic, no anger, only focus. He shifted just enough to avoid the imaginary jab, a subtle demonstration of control that sent a ripple through the crowd. Some fans whispered to each other, realizing Jason wasn't just a movie star. He was a man who understood movement, timing, and strategy. The fighter, frustrated, began demonstrating more flashy techniques, spinning kicks, rapid punches in the air, trying to draw a reaction. He circled Jason, expecting the crowd to cheer his audacity. But Jason remained calm, almost bored, his stance relaxed yet ready. "Impressive moves," Jason finally said, his voice carrying over the arena. "But control is stronger than showmanship." The fighter froze for a fraction of a second. The crowd murmured, sensing the shift. This wasn't the response they expected. Usually, his opponents flinched or reacted, but Jason's calm confidence unnerved even the bravest fans. Some bystanders began recording more frantically, anticipating a confrontation that had now transformed into a psychological duel. Whispers spread through the arena, "Is he going to strike? I've never seen the fighter look nervous before." The MMA fighter's frustration grew. He had dominated local tournaments, faced skilled opponents, and been undefeated for years. Yet here was a man, older and smaller, unmoved by intimidation, whose mere composure was dismantling the fighter's confidence piece by piece. The fighter stepped closer, lowering his voice so only Jason could hear. "Enough talk. Let's make this interesting." Jason tilted his head slightly, a subtle smirk forming. "Interesting is fine. But remember this, it's not about how loud you are. It's about how precise you can be." The crowd leaned in, sensing that Jason was baiting the fighter without ever raising his voice or making a move. Phones captured the moment, every subtle glance, every twitch of the fighter's muscles, every shift in the arena's energy. Social media clips of this standoff would later explode online, and every viewer would feel the tension through their screens. Engagement prompt: if someone humiliated you in front of thousands, would you stay calm like Jason or react immediately? Comment your choice. Let's see who would keep their cool. The fighter, now visibly sweating under the arena lights, realized something important. Jason wasn't just staying calm to avoid confrontation, he was studying him, predicting his moves, controlling the pace without ever throwing a punch. And for the first time, the fighter felt uncertain, off balance. As the fighter prepared another flashy demonstration, Jason finally shifted slightly, a controlled movement that subtly showcased his own skill. The crowd gasped, not from a strike, but from the sheer precision of timing. The MMA fighter's arrogance began to crack, and the arena felt the tension pivot. This was the turning point. The fighter thought he was in command, but Jason had already begun taking control of the situation, not with force, but with poise, patience, and perfect timing. The audience could sense that the epic moment, the real payoff, was only seconds away. The stage was set for Jason's legendary comeback, and every spectator leaned forward, knowing that when it happened, no one in the arena, or watching online, would ever forget it. The arena was electric. Every eye was fixed on the center of the stage where Jason Statham stood, calm and composed, facing a cocky MMA fighter who was clearly growing frustrated. The fighter's confidence, which had filled the room moments ago, now seemed fragile. Whispers and gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave. "Is he scared?" a young fan whispered to his friend, phone recording every angle. But Jason wasn't scared. He was calculating. His gaze never wavered from the fighter, his stance loose yet ready, exuding an unshakable control that only heightened the tension. The MMA fighter, who had once been the star of this arena, now felt the energy shift against him. The fighter decided to provoke the crowd instead. He raised his fists theatrically, puffed his chest, and shouted, "Come on, everyone! You've seen him in the movies. Let's see if he can actually move like that in real life." The audience laughed nervously at first, but Jason's calm presence made them pause. There was something mesmerizing about the contrast. One man desperate to prove himself, the other completely in command of the moment without raising his voice. Phones recorded the standoff. Snippets would later go viral online. A few of the more observant spectators leaned forward, noticing subtle details, the way Jason shifted his weight slightly, how his eyes followed the fighter's movements, how he breathed steadily. Every micromotion suggested precision, skill, and confidence. People started whispering among themselves, "He's not just an actor, he's a fighter." The MMA fighter, unaware that the tide was turning, decided to showcase a spinning kick. He executed it perfectly in the air, aiming to intimidate Jason. The crowd held its collective breath. Jason, however, didn't move aggressively. Instead, he sidestepped with effortless grace, barely shifting his stance, demonstrating control that left the audience awestruck. Gasps erupted across the arena. Phones recorded the moment repeatedly. Social media notifications would later explode as clips of this precise sidestep went viral. It wasn't flashy, but it was effective, and more importantly, it highlighted the stark difference between real skill and performative arrogance. Some spectators began cheering quietly for Jason, drawn to his calm power and poise. Others whispered warnings to the fighter, noticing his growing frustration. For the first time, it seemed the MMA star's confidence was faltering. Engagement prompt: if you were in the crowd witnessing this, who would you be cheering for, the cocky fighter or Jason? Comment below and tell us why. The fighter, sensing the shift, tried one last intimidating move, a mock punch aimed just inches from Jason's face. The crowd leaned in. Everyone expected Jason to react with force or fury. Instead, he simply raised an eyebrow, smirked slightly, and sidestepped again, his motion smooth and calculated. The crowd erupted. Some laughed, some cheered, some whispered in disbelief. The MMA fighter froze, caught off guard. The energy in the arena had shifted completely. The cocky fighter, once the center of attention, now looked uncertain. Jason, through sheer presence, had taken control of the narrative without landing a single punch. Every subtle movement he made amplified the tension, and the spectators sensed that the climax was approaching. Whispers spread through the crowd, "This isn't just an actor, He's trained, precise, unstoppable. The fighter, now visibly sweating, realized he had miscalculated. He had assumed Jason's silence was weakness, but it was anything but. Phones recorded every reaction, every gasp, every smirk. Clips from this moment would later dominate social media, not because of a fight, but because of the psychology of control. Jason's calm, strategic mastery over a man fueled by ego and aggression. The stage was now perfectly set. The fighter had lost his confidence, the crowd was fully invested, and Jason's plan was unfolding. In mere seconds, the arena would witness the epic comeback that would leave everyone speechless. Audience hook. The moment Jason finally makes his move, the fighter won't know what hit him, and the crowd will erupt like never before. The tension was unbearable. Every eye, every camera, every heartbeat in the arena was synchronized, waiting for the inevitable collision of arrogance and precision. Jason was ready. The fighter was not. And the world was watching. The tension in the arena had reached a breaking point. The cocky MMA fighter, once full of confidence and bravado, was now visibly frustrated. Sweat dripped down his brow, his chest heaving from the effort of performing for the crowd. Every move he made seemed to lack the precision and control that had won him so many fights before. Jason Statham remained calm, almost unnervingly so. His eyes never left the fighter, and every small movement he made suggested patience and calculation. The crowd could feel it, the calm before the storm, the moment when the underdog, or in this case, the unassuming figure, would turn the tables. The fighter decided on a final, flashy display, attempting a spinning back kick meant to intimidate Jason into reacting. He executed it with perfect form, every ounce of muscle flexing to show dominance. The audience collectively held its breath. Cameras captured every detail. Social media clips would later explode online from this single maneuver. Jason, however, didn't flinch. He didn't dodge or counter in a conventional sense. Instead, he shifted with perfect timing, letting the fighter's kick pass harmlessly inches away. His subtle movement displayed balance, precision, and supreme control. The crowd gasped. The fighter froze mid-motion, realizing he had miscalculated again. Then, Jason made his first move. Not a wild strike, not a flashy display, but a measured, expert counterstep. With a swift but controlled motion, he lightly deflected the fighter's extended arm, using the man's own momentum against him. The MMA fighter stumbled slightly, and for the first time, the audience saw doubt flash across his face. The crowd erupted. Phones recorded the subtle yet devastating counter. Whispers spread instantly. "Did you see that?" He barely moved, and the fighter lost control. Jason didn't gloat. He remained calm, authoritative, and controlled, which only amplified the impact of the moment. He spoke softly but firmly, loud enough for the arena to hear. Strength without control is useless. Power without focus is wasted. The cocky MMA fighter's arrogance was crumbling before everyone's eyes. He tried to recover, launching a series of quick jabs, attempting to regain dominance, but Jason's calm, calculated movements allowed him to evade every strike with minimal effort. The audience was stunned. They had never seen someone dismantle a professional fighter's confidence without throwing a single forceful blow. Engagement prompt: if you were in the crowd, what would you be thinking right now? Would you cheer for Jason or the fighter? Comment your choice. The fighter's frustration escalated. His punches became sloppy, exaggerated, almost theatrical. Every mistake Jason evaded was another blow to the fighter's confidence. The crowd leaned in, phones recording, hearts racing. Some fans were cheering wildly for Jason, while others whispered excitedly, captivated by the psychological mastery on display. Then came the moment that would define the evening. Jason stepped forward, measured and precise, intercepting the fighter's final jab with the perfect timing and minimal effort. The MMA fighter stumbled, completely off balance. The audience gasped, some jumping to their feet. The arena erupted with applause and cheers, the roar deafening. Jason had taken control without aggression, leaving the fighter speechless and humbled. The fighter, once cocky and untouchable, now had no words, no moves left. He was caught in the brilliance of Jason's calm, strategic dominance. The audience witnessed firsthand the difference between raw strength and controlled skill, between arrogance and mastery. Jason's first comeback was complete. He had silenced the fighter, captured the crowd, and proven that composure and precision were worth far more than bravado and showmanship. Phones continued recording, clips destined to go viral, spreading the story of this unforgettable confrontation around the world. Audience hook: the fighter thinks he's done, but Jason isn't finished yet. The next move will completely humiliate him, and the arena will go wild. The stage was set for the final humiliation. Jason's calm had broken the fighter's arrogance, and now, every spectator waited in suspense, knowing the epic conclusion was imminent. The cocky MMA fighter stood frozen, his chest heaving, sweat dripping down his face. The arena, once filled with his confident bravado, was now electric with anticipation, but this time, the attention was entirely on Jason Statham. For the first time that night, the fighter's arrogance cracked. He had underestimated a man who hadn't even raised a hand with real force, yet had managed to dismantle his confidence completely. His flashy techniques, designed to intimidate, had failed. Every move he made was countered effortlessly, every display of bravado met with calm mastery. The audience erupted. Phones captured every detail: Jason's precise sidesteps, the subtle deflections, the moment the fighter's balance faltered. Fans jumped to their feet, cheering for the action star's brilliance and poise. Whispers spread across the arena: he didn't even throw a hard punch, and the fighter is already humbled. Jason didn't gloat. He remained composed, arms at his sides, calm and confident. Instead of humiliation, he projected control and mastery. Every subtle movement reinforced a single message: strength without discipline is nothing. The fighter, now clearly shaken, tried to regain his composure. He raised his fists one last time, hoping to show resilience. But the energy in the arena had shifted completely. The crowd, sensing the fighter's vulnerability, began chanting Jason's name, cheering every calculated motion he made. The MMA star's smirk had vanished, replaced with a mix of embarrassment and disbelief. A few of the more perceptive spectators whispered among themselves, "That's the difference between real skill and arrogance." Others raised their phones, recording the final moments for social media. Clips of Jason's calm dominance would soon go viral, spreading far beyond the arena. Engagement prompt: if someone disrespects you publicly, would you stay calm like Jason or react differently? Comment your choice. Let's see who would keep their cool. As the fighter's energy dwindled, Jason finally spoke, his voice firm but calm. "Remember, it's not about showing off. It's about control, focus, and respect." The fighter's shoulders slumped. He realized the truth in Jason's words. The lesson was clear: arrogance can be dismantled without a single violent act if you possess skill, composure, and strategy. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause, cheering for both Jason's mastery and the moment of humility delivered to the overconfident fighter. Fans chanted, clapped, and shouted, some even teary-eyed from the drama and suspense of the confrontation. The arena had witnessed more than a demonstration of skill. It had seen a lesson in respect, patience, and composure. Jason, still calm, acknowledged the crowd with a slight nod. His presence alone had transformed the energy in the arena, leaving the fighter humbled and the audience inspired. Every phone captured the moment, every spectator aware that they had just witnessed something unforgettable. Audience hook: the fighter thought he was untouchable, but Jason showed the world the power of calm mastery. And now, the video is about to go viral. The stage was set for the final part: the aftermath, the viral spread, and the global recognition of Jason Statham's epic control and comeback. The MMA fighter had been humbled. The crowd had been amazed. And the story was far from over. The arena was still buzzing from the epic showdown. Jason Statham stood calm and composed, while the once cocky MMA fighter slumped in defeat, humbled before a crowd that had witnessed a masterclass in composure and skill. Phones continued to record, capturing the final moments in high definition. Clips began circulating immediately, and within minutes, social media platforms erupted with hashtags, shares, and comments. The story spread like wildfire. Fans across the globe watched in awe as the video went viral. Viewers marveled at Jason's precision, calmness, and the subtle yet devastating way he dismantled the overconfident fighter. Comments flooded in, "Absolute legend. He didn't even throw a punch, and he won. That's how a real action hero handles pressure." News outlets picked up the footage, dissecting every moment of Jason's performance. Analysts highlighted the psychological mastery, the poise under pressure, and the incredible timing that left the MMA fighter speechless. Fans discussed the lessons online, how confidence alone isn't enough, and how skill paired with calmness is far more powerful. Back in the arena, the MMA fighter finally approached Jason, offering a handshake. The gesture was tentative but sincere, a silent acknowledgement of defeat and newfound respect. Jason accepted it with a nod, his calm demeanor sending a clear message: humility and composure always carry more weight than arrogance. The crowd erupted into applause once more, celebrating not just Jason's victory, but the lesson embedded in the showdown. Cameras continued rolling, and the footage continued to spread across social media platforms, garnering millions of views worldwide. The story resonated far beyond the arena, inspiring viewers everywhere with its lesson in skill, humility, and respect. Engagement prompt: if you think Jason handled it perfectly, type legend in the comments. And share this video with someone who needs to see the power of calm mastery. For the MMA fighter, the experience was transformative. Once brimming with ego and overconfidence, he now carried a newfound respect for patience, control, and strategy. Jason had not only bested him in front of thousands, but he had also taught an invaluable lesson. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies in restraint, observation, and perfect timing. Fans continued sharing their reactions online, praising Jason for his composure and clever comeback. Memes, GIFs, and highlight clips flooded social media, cementing the showdown as an iconic moment in both live events and viral content history. The arena footage inspired discussions, debates, and admiration globally, reminding everyone watching that sometimes, words and actions combined with control can be more powerful than brute strength. As the crowd filed out, phones buzzing with recordings, Jason's calm smile remained, a quiet acknowledgement of the lesson taught and the respect earned. The MMA fighter, once cocky and arrogant, had been humbled publicly, but in doing so, he too had learned the true value of respect and composure. Final call to action: if you believe calm, skill, and respect are stronger than arrogance, type legend in the comments, and subscribe for more epic showdown stories like this one. The story had reached its climax, the lesson had been delivered, and the world had witnessed an unforgettable demonstration of mastery, humility, and poise.